This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pim Fox. It is earnings season on Wall Street, but public companies, they only tell part of the story for the economy. For more complete picture on business on Main Street, we're joined by Brian Hamilton. He is the CEO of Sageworks. His company tracks private companies. Brian Hamilton, welcome. It's good to have you back.
You too.
What has been going on in the private sector? Does it mirror what we hear about from public companies?
It's a great question. Pretty much. Everything is flattening or decreasing slightly, but there's really some sectors that are driving huge declines or having huge declines, and that's making those markets kind of softer. For example, anything around construction, residential building, if you're in the furniture business, that's really dragging badly.
And is it continuing to decelerate at the previous rates? I mean, because we've heard, for example, that house prices may be settling, that there might be some life to the housing industry. What is the private company data?
We have not seen it. Look at the land developers. I mean, a 20% decrease last year. We haven't seen it yet. But it's very interesting. If you look at privately held companies, you'll see that overall things are softening. But really, there's specific sectors that are having big problems, and we tend to kind of dwell on that, obviously, in our discussions.
All right, real estate, land division,
anything around real estate,
to do with real estate, furniture, anything to do with
concrete products, furniture, anything around residential construction, buying and selling. Look at the real estate brokers, way down. Tough to be in those businesses. So you really have to stratify a little bit. If you're in those sectors, you're going to have a problem making money. But they're, you know, on the other side.
I wanted to find out. So where can people be looking for employment? If they got laid off in the construction business, where do you want to go?
Healthcare, high tech, software as a service businesses are still doing real well. Those types of businesses are growing. Generally, and this is broad, if you're in a business where you're selling a product or service that's needed, you're probably doing pretty well.
How about accounting services, tax services?
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Everybody's going to their accountant. They're all nervous about, obviously, money given last year. And so that is a booming sector. Dentists are doing well. I don't really know why, but they're doing great. Healthcare professionals, you know, can find employment, typically doing real well.
Now, your data also shows what I would consider to be some anomalies, and this is to do with what trucking, the specialized trucking businesses. What's going on there?
Well, whatever that is, I mean, they're basically. It's a good point. That industry is doing well, and it shows that if you're specializing in something, you're really good at a specific niche, you'll probably do well. However, Pim, you got to keep in mind that that's a very small segment of the economy.
What about the beer, wine, and liquor business? That's also one of the top 5 areas.
We don't want to call that countercyclical, obviously, but that's going up. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe it really is working that way, but that's going up, and it looks healthy.
And do you see any kind of pattern that you can see looking out to the second half of 2009 generally? Are private companies saying things are going to get better the second half of the year?
Well, it's really interesting. If you're running a privately held company and you've got debt, and, you know, especially if you're a principal and you've got, you know, a management team where people have to make a certain amount of money, what we're finding is that the profits, the actual dollar profits, are not really going down very much. The profit margins are being retained. It's a very important piece of data. If you're running a public company, you don't have as much latitude to kind of keep those profit dollars in line. So here's what's happening. The gross profits at these companies are slipping, but the privately held companies are really maintaining their profit dollars by cutting overhead.
By cutting overhead, cutting costs.
Sure.
All right.
And you can see that in some of the employment figures a little bit, but they're actually, you know, basically retaining their profit dollars each year.
All right. Well, I guess private companies being quite nimble in dealing with this recession.
They have to be, exactly, yeah.
Brian Hamilton, the CEO of Sageworks, coming and sharing your thoughts on the private industry.